Bernie Ecclestone was a very poor child, had a very poor childhood. He grew up during the Second World War, where the area where he lived in East London was constantly bombed by the Luftwaffe. And he then hated school. He left school early and became a second-hand car salesman. So uneducated and poor.
What makes him so special?
He's special because he is a very driven man. He's a very sharp operator. He's ruthless. He knows how to negotiate. He knows how to do a deal. He has an extraordinary ability to be cool under fire. But above all, he has a passion which always suppresses the opposition. He has a drive and a cunning which is quite exceptional.
What did he make with the Formula One business from his first contact to Formula One?
He had a great passion for motor racing. He'd driven cars himself in races and had terrible crashes, so he then stopped racing. He then bought a team, the Brabham team, and joined the sport as the owner of the team, and discovered that all the other people who he was racing with were amateurs who loved the racing and were not interested in the business. So he saw an opportunity to make money where they were not interested. And he said, leave it to me, I'll arrange all the trips, I'll arrange everything all over the world and take just a small percentage for my costs. But in fact, the small percentage became a bigger percentage, and then he ran the sport.
And what about his influence onto the Formula One business?
Well, the Formula One business is his creation. Bernie Ecclestone invented Formula One as a business. He invented it as a huge international, huge global sport and a huge global business. That was his genius. He not only organized the circus of cars to go all over the world, but he organized the TV, the corporate hospitality, the places, the rings themselves, you know, the arenas, the car driving places. He arranged everything. But most of all, he then negotiated. He's the master negotiator between the teams, between the authorities, the regulators, and between each of the countries where they appear. I mean, that is his genius. He's a broker and a deal maker and a thug many times. When he doesn't get his way, he then makes sure that he gets his way.
He created a big money machine.
He created a big money machine, made everybody rich, but he's the richest of them all.
How is his relationship to bribe money, corruption?
Well, I can't say that I know what his relationship to bribing. I don't know. I mean, he is a man who knows that money talks, and in the Formula One business, he's had to give money to Ferrari, he's had to give money to Lotus, he's had to give money to Mercedes. Sometimes he takes money from Renault. He plays the money around. Everyone is in it for the money in the end. So, in that sense, he knows how to make the wheels work. But I didn't find any evidence of criminal bribery, only just making sure that the money went to the right people.
In what relationship he stood to Mr. Grybkowski?
Well, his relationship with Grybkowski goes in different phases. You must remember when he met Grybkowski, Grybkowski was the banker who owned the majority control of Formula One because he got it from Kirsch. Ecclestone did not want the bank to have control of his sport. When Grybkowski arrived, Ecclestone had just negotiated to buy the shares from the Bayerische Staatsbank for about $500 million. A man called Fischer, a banker, had sold them. Grybkowski terminated that agreement because Grybkowski said $500 million was too little, he could get more. So of course Ecclestone didn't like him. And Ecclestone wasn't going to allow Grybkowski to control the sport, although he had the majority of the shares. And Grybkowski wanted to control the sport. So for more than a year, they had a battle in London in the British courts, to who controls the sport. Grybkowski won the battle in the British courts. And then Ecclestone did another maneuver to prevent Grybkowski getting control, and then Grybkowski hit hard.
He made him compliant, or he was an enemy?
No, Grybkowski effectively made a threat to Ecclestone. He then got a deal with Ecclestone, and they became friends. I mean, Ecclestone is like, he likes to pose himself as a mafia boss, that the best way to control your enemies is to hug them very close. And the closer you hug your enemy, the more you can control them. And so he hugged Grabkowski close, and Grabkowski enjoyed it.
What is the significance for Mr. Ecclestone to be on trial now in Munich?
Well, of course, Ecclestone is very upset about being on trial. The last thing he wanted was to be accused of bribery with the threat of going to prison. The German courts are very different to the British courts. For a British person, not to have a jury is very worrying, that you rely on the judge, just one man to decide your fate. It's very unusual for us here in America, especially where the judge has already said that Grabkowski is guilty. So therefore we assume he thinks Ecclestone is guilty without hearing all the evidence. So I think the German court has an obligation to prove their independence and impartiality first, and then Ecclestone has the job to prove his innocence.
Is it a personal heavy defeat for him, or more like an accident at work?
No, I think it's a huge embarrassment. I think it's a huge burden for him. I think that it's not an accident. I mean, clearly not. It's something which happened. There's no doubt he paid Grabkowski a lot of money. And you don't pay someone a lot of money without good cause. So clearly that he's got a lot of explaining to do. He can only hope the judge believes his explanation.
Maybe Mr. Ecclestone thinks he's untouchable?
No, I don't think Ecclestone ever thought he's untouchable, because he's always fighting with authorities. That's the opposite. Ecclestone's success and genius has always been to accept that he's touchable, but that he can hit those who are touching back harder to kick them away. Usually he could. He's always been able to find a way out or to defeat his enemies. But this is one challenge which he didn't anticipate.
Can you look a little bit inside Mr. Ecclestone, now before the trial in Munich, how he feel, a little bit personal or so?
I'm sure Ecclestone approaches the trial with trepidation, with some fear. It's clearly the odds are not stacked in his favour because it's a single judge, there's no jury, as we have in Britain and America. The judge has already expressed his belief that Ecclestone is guilty, which is for us an astonishing departure from justice. The evidence, in my view, shows that Ecclestone's innocent, I believe. I think that, on balance, he is not guilty. I think Grabkowski has lied. Grabkowski has lied to save his own position. The moment he changed his evidence, he went from a high-security prison to a low-security prison. Well, anyone thinks, well, what sort of motive did he have then to change his evidence? Ecclestone knows the odds are heavy, that they are difficult. But he's a fighter. He's faced worse things in life. He's 83. When you get to that age and you've battled all over the world, he's fought other battles. He'll fight this one.
And he's in a good shape, he's 83.
He's in very good shape. He's got a young wife. He's got a huge business. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of things. He could clearly do without this. It's a burden, but he'll fight it. He can only hope the German judge is a fair man and listens to the evidence.